welcome back to another video. This is Lilith for Altenew, and today I'm going to be using the I Adore You stamp set. And what I'm first going to do is I'm going to use some of these lovely orange inks, which are some of the new inks from our January release. I'm just putting them onto an acrylic block and adding a bit of water. I'm also adding some water to my watercolor paper. Now the first time I tried this, I just went with the acrylic block, but it came out a little bit blotchy. So I'm just going to do it again. I'm going to use the four colors and go from dark to light or light to dark. Add a bit of water to my acrylic block and my watercolor paper. And the second time I just took some packaging I had left over, the plastic, and cut off a piece which I just applied to the acrylic block and then went over the watercolor paper. And the more water you add, the more it will just flow out onto the paper. I'm just going to put this to one side and let it dry. And I'm going to show you the paper I'm going to be using. So this is the pattern paper I picked out of the reflection kit. And I also cut out a heart. Now what I did is I just traced one side, cut that out with a knife and popped it over, and then traced the other side and cut that out with a craft knife as well. I did roughen the borders, the edges a little bit of the heart, just to give it some extra detail. I'm going to be using a black and white photo. Because I'm using white and lots of color, I do like using black and white photos. I just think it makes the photo pop off the page just a little bit more. So I'm matting my photo onto some pattern paper, which is also from the Reflections scrapbook kit, which is a little darker pink. And I might use the camera a little later on. So the paper is nearly dry. I'm just going over that with my heat gun just to make sure that it's really dry, because I'm going to be stamping over that colored effect. So here I'm using the Adore You stamp set from Altenew, and this is the first time I'm using the set, so I'm just prepping my stamps with an eraser. So I'm just going to pick out a couple of flowers and stamp those all over the colored parts of my watercolor paper. These stamps are really pretty and look very dainty, and there are lots of ways you can use them. So I'm using different sizes here, and as you can see, each time I'm prepping the stamps. I love using the eraser. I think it works really well. Well, maybe you have some other ideas. I would love to know how you prep your stamps when you stamp with them for the first time. I'm going to stamp one larger flower as well, and then I can start cutting them out. Now if you have got the die set, just use your dies to cut them out. Unfortunately, I don't have the die set, so I had to use my scissors, and I spent like maybe 20 minutes cutting out all these flowers by hand. So I'll pop back in just a little bit later just to share some more things about the layout. So there you have it. I finished cutting out all my little flowers. It was a bit time consuming, but I love the finished result. So what I thought I would do was add just a little bit of extra color and just darken the edges. But once I started adding more color and more water, the gray ink started to seep a bit out, and it wasn't that pretty. So maybe next time, instead of just stamping with usual gray ink, I might just emboss that so that I don't get that effect with the watercolor paper. So what I'm going to do now is place the flowers over my layout. And something I do a lot on my projects is to use the rule of three and the visual triangle. I think if you use these two design principles, you will always or nearly always create a well-balanced layout. So the rule of three is just to, when you're placing things on your layout, to always use threes. Like if you're using enamel dots, you use three enamel dots, or if you're using flowers, you use three flowers. And here I'm going with three clusters of flowers. And at the same time, I'm placing them in a triangle. So as you can see, I've got one cluster near the photo, another one in the top left-hand corner, and the other to the top right-hand corner. And this creates balance and flow. I'm also adding a little bit of ink splatters to the layout just to create a bit more detail. When you do this, I would advise you just to place something over your photo, not to get any ink on your photo. Now I'm going to start working on my title. And before doing that, I'm just going to add a little embellishment to the top right hand corner, which is this little butterfly which comes in the scrapbook kit. So for my title, I'm also going to use the Adore You stamp set, and I'm going to use the Thank You stamp which is on that set, and I'm going to stamp that onto some white cardstock and cut it out. You could just stamp it directly onto your layouts, but here I wanted to layer it over, well, partly over the flowers which are just to the bottom of the photo, and because I want to layer it, I am stamping that onto some cardstock. So I'm just tweaking the photo a little bit and placing the title. In a lighter grey, I'm going to take a text stamp which is also on the Adore You stamp set, and this is going to be my journaling. So sometimes I journal by hand, or sometimes I just use texts which are on the stamp sets. I thought it would be nice just to add a couple of leaves to the layout as well, and once again those on the Adore You stamp set are perfect. So I'm just using some of our new green inks for that, and once again I'm just stamping those onto some cardstock, and this is just some scrap piece of paper I had lying around. So I'm stamping two sizes, and I'm just going to cut those out and pop them onto the layout as well. And there you have it, the layout is almost complete. Thank you so much for watching. If you've got any questions, or if you would like to see me use any particular stamp set, or if you would like me to talk about any particular techniques, just pop all of those questions or comments in the comment section on YouTube or on our blog, and I will try to get back to you as soon as possible. Thanks so much for stopping by, and see you very soon with another layout. Bye bye.